Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on the vid. This is my top 5 rental teams with both codes and pokepastes included. If you're not aware of what a pokepaste is, basically it's a link in the description for every team that gives you all their stats, what moves they know, and their IVs and their EVs. So if you don't want to rent the team and you just want to build it yourself, you can do that with every single one of these teams. If you have not seen one of these videos before, how it works is the pinned comment in this comment section has the timestamps for each of the 5 teams. So you can click on the timestamp, get the team code, click on the next timestamp, go to the next one. I do a brief explanation of how each team works if you want to know how the team works. And these videos used to be an hour long because I would include footage of me battling with each team, but I've decided to cut that out. However, if you want to see me battling with each team, there is a separate link to one of my live streams where I go all the way up to Master Ball rank in one sitting this season, just using these 5 teams. If you find this helpful, please consider dropping a like. If you want to get 5 new teams every single month, consider dropping a subscribe. Okay, here we have team number 1, guys. If you do not know how to register a rental team, I have a separate video that is a step-by-step guide on how to use and to create rental teams. So check out that video on my channel if you need any help with this. This team received a top 8 finish at the Malmo Regional, which was a couple weeks back. And after using this team to death, it might be my favorite one, which is why it's the first one. It's also the first one I used, and I just find myself continuing to come back to this team. This is a G-Max Lapras team, and I find it so satisfying because you want to typically lead with Lapras and Incineroar. That would be my recommendation. Your opponent, you can normally tell which Pokemon they're going to Dynamax. So the Pokemon that is not going to Dynamax on turn 1, you're going to fake out with Incineroar. If they have a Whimsicott, fake it out. If they're trying to have any other kind of setup, fake it out. Your goal is to G-Max Lapras turn 1. It's just so easy to use this team when you know you're G-Maxing turn 1. You use Lapras's G-Max Ice Attack, and in addition to dealing incredible damage, that gives you a built-in Aurora Veil turn 1 as well. You should be aware that people are preparing for G-Max Lapras now, and if you see Pokemon like Dracovish or even Incineroar, they could be running Psychic Fangs or Brick Break, which will destroy your Aurora Veil right away, so be aware of that. When you do the counter matchup to other Laprases that are also going to G-Max, keep in mind, this is a weakness policy Lapras. You're probably going up against other weakness policy Lapras. So if you see that, do not Thunderbolt the Lapras, or do not Max Lightning the Lapras. What you should do is just keep spamming your Ice Attack to make sure you get that Aurora Veil. Hydro Pump if you have to, set the range, take care of your opponent's other Pokemon that aren't Dynamax, get them off the board, allow your opponent to trigger your weakness policy, which will make you able to get his Lapras off the board as soon as its Dynamax is over in one shot, and use your 3 turns of Dynamax to set up and destroy the rest of his team. You might notice the odd Pokemon out here is Roserade. Roserade is amazing. Spamming Sleep Powder in general is an amazing move. Dusclops is there to counter the Trick Room. You can also spam Will-O-Wisp to hurt physical attackers, you know, like a Rhyperior. That Togekiss has great utility here because it can follow me, distract Pokemon away from your Lapras if you're worried about it getting hurt, or distract Pokemon away from your Conkeldurr if you want to go off with your Conkeldurr turn 1. Conkeldurr is an extremely good Pokemon here as well. Don't sleep on Drain Punch, it's really good. Conkeldurr with Iron Fist, as opposed to Guts, makes all those punch moves do more damage, and it has great coverage. Mach Punch always goes first, so that's a good way to get rid of that last bit of damage on a super fast Pokemon. Just Mach Punch it, and they'll be gone. Incineroar, as we know, has an awesome ability, Intimidate, lowers the attack of both your opponent's Pokemon turn 1. If you see Corviknight, you might not want to lead with Incineroar. Keep it in the back because Incineroar destroys Corviknight with a Max Flare. However, Corviknight having Mirror Armor will reflect the Intimidate back onto you. So they might lead with Corviknight to get that Mirror Armor off. Here's team 2, guys, and this is a team that I just kind of stumbled across. surfing the internet. The host of this team, all I know is his name is Mike. And Mike, you have put together a fantastic team. This is a G-Max Colossal team. And if you're not aware, there's a gimmick with G-Max Colossal where you attack it yourself. This was being done with Weavile a lot. You attack it with Surf, for example, with a Weavile that has very poor special attack. So Surf will hit your partner Pokemon and the other two Pokemon, and it will do very, very little damage to Colossal. But it will trigger the weakness policy he's holding, which will sharply raise his attack and special attack. That combined with his ability Steam Engine, which increase his speed by multiple stages, will make you be able to sweep teams with Colossal after a turn 1 Surf from Dragapult. A lot of people won't expect that Surf coming from the Dragapult. So obviously your go-to lead is Dragapult, Colossal, but you have other great leads like Incineroar, who's always a good lead with Fake Out. And a really clutch Pokemon in this team, just a great Pokemon in general, is Gastrodon. Because when you have a Gastrodon, your opponent will be reluctant to do a Max Geyser right into Colossal, because you can switch out either Colossal or the Pokemon next to it with Gastrodon, and it doesn't matter. Even if he's targeting Colossal, Gastrodon's Storm Drain will soak in that water attack no matter what. It's a busted ability and part of why this team works so good together, and even though it's a gimmicky team, you can get it off. So you want to lead Colossal, Dragapult, Surf with Dragapult turn 1. It's super fast. It should be able to get it off, and Dynamax with Colossal turn 1. That's your number 1 game plan. Also, another Conkeldurr here. This is the Guts Conkeldurr, not the Iron Fist. And then you have Gardevoir, which is really nice. Dazzling Gleam, of course, can hit both Pokemon. A very nice special attack. You have Trick Room to counter other Trick Rooms. So in case you don't know how a Trick Room counter works, you see that your opponent has a Trick Room team. You throw Gardevoir out there. On turn 1, you use Imprison, and then if your opponent tries to do Trick Room, they will not be able to, because Imprison locks your opponent from using any moves that Gardevoir knows. And since Gardevoir knows Trick Room, boom, turn 1 Imprison, Trick Room is not a problem. This is team number 3, guys. Team number 3 is a real treat because it's made by someone who is highly respected in the Pokemon VGC community. I might butcher his name. I believe it's Alcadeus, but he has been known to make incredible teams with incredible write-ups behind them, and this is no exception. This is someone that plays hundreds of matches every season, always gets, a very high ranking in Master Ball tier, kind of was popularizing the Moxie Gyarados moveset in the early stages of this competitive meta. Now he's switched to an Intimidate Gyarados, which really throws off opponents. Durant, if you've ever had to face one, is a wrecking ball. Durant is the Dynamaxer, and with Hustle, it's pretty broken because Durant can just go first, and it pretty much one-shots everything when it's Dynamax with Life Orb. So if you're confused, you don't know what to do with this team, just go off with Durant. You have to be careful because of Incineroar out there now, but with Durant, Jellicent, and Gyarados, Incineroar is going to be put in its place pretty quickly. Water Spout does a ton of damage to both your opponent's Pokemon with Jellicent. That's a great thing to spam. You can turn off your opponent's Trick Room using the Jellicent, or decide, hey, they're using Pokemon that are faster? Cool, I'll send out Jellicent and Conkeldurr, and I'll use the Trick Room for myself. Raichu is busted. Don't sleep on Raichu. Amazing lead. We see Fake Out Incineroar on a ton of teams right now, but Fake Out Raichu is really good. The one thing I noticed when using this team is that if you have a counter matchup against a Raichu, the ability Lightning Rod works like Gastrodon's Storm Drain. It will take in all lightning attacks regardless of who you're targeting. So if you have the mirror match against another Raichu, keep in mind, this Raichu, after using a Fake Out, won't be able to do anything else because all of his other attacks are electric. So make sure after you use a Fake Out, you switch it out. Togekiss, the classic Togekiss set, weakness policy. This is another sweeper that can Dynamax and go off. So you have a lot of Dynamax options on this team that are built just to destroy. And again, if you have any questions on this team, just Google Alcadeus, but I put his entire team pokepaste in the description of this video so you can find it easily. And don't forget, I have that live stream of me wrecking with this team in Master Ball rank as well. Here is team number 4. Teams number 4 and 5 are actually both from the same trainer. Her name is Alexa, and she reached Master Ball rank alternating between these two teams. Now, I'm not familiar with Alexa. I don't know a lot about her, but after reading her strategy and trying these teams myself, I was shocked by how well these worked. If someone like Wolfie were to use a team like this, I'm sure he'd easily be able to go undefeated in one sitting with it. This team is a hail team. Team number 5 is a sand team, but this is a hail team. So both of these next two teams rely on the weather. You want to lead with Ninetales and get that Aurora Veil off, which gets you a light screen and reflect turn 1. Doesn't matter if Ninetales gets taken out after that, and it has a focus sash, so it can be able to do that. But a weakness for Ninetales is if your opponent has weather. So if you see a Pokemon like Torkoal, like Pelipper, that can either make it rain or bring in the sun, or Tyranitar, you might not want to lead with Ninetales, but having Ninetales in the back and switching it in to set the weather for yourself is a great idea. This is another team that has that switcheroo Whimsicott, and I found with this team, when you see an opponent that's running the team like I had as team number 1, with that G-Max Lapras, it will almost always Dynamax turn 1. So if you see this team, don't do that against this Whimsicott, because this Whimsicott will use Switcheroo, which will switch Lapras's weakness policy with Whimsicott's eject button. And then you use a super fast Pokemon to get an attack on that Lapras. Doesn't even have to be super fast as long as they're not tailwinding. So Whimsicott will switcheroo, Prankster will allow that to go first. Your next Pokemon will attack the Lapras. Doesn't even matter if it does 2 damage, whatever. The eject button ejects the Lapras out of the battle, and your opponent loses their entire Dynamax and doesn't even get to get their Aura Veil up. I made so many people rage quit using this strategy. They thought I was going to tailwind. They thought I was going to do other stuff. People do not see it coming, and it's absolutely amazing. Duraludon is a great Dynamaxer for this team, but so is Braviary, and Dracozolt can come in and do heavy damage as well. So my favorite Dynamax on this team are Duraludon and Braviary. Braviary, of course, has Tailwind, so even though you're not going to be Tailwinding with Whimsicott, if you want to get that speed boost, you can use Braviary for that. Just start using this team, leading Ninetales, try that gimmick with the Whimsicott. You'll be having a lot of fun, and you'll be getting a lot of wins. Team number 5, again, this is a team by Alexa. We couldn't have a top 5 rentals team video without having a classic Excadrill T-Tar Sand team. This, in my opinion, is the best version yet. We have that Storm Drain Gastrodon, which can switch in and draw all water attacks to it. So if your opponent wants to do a big water attack into Excadrill or into Incineroar, one of your Pokemon, doesn't have to be the one that's being targeted, switches into Gastrodon, and that water attack automatically redirects into Gastrodon, does 0 damage, either Pokemon, and boost Gastrodon special attack. So that's awesome. Then you have that Rotom Mow, my favorite form of Rotom, to destroy Lapras's and other opponents' Gastrodon. Keep in mind, most Lapras run weakness policy, so you don't want to Leaf Storm, you don't want to Max Overgrowth, Max Lightning right into it. You want to play it strategically, but once that Lapras Dynamax is over, Rotom can seriously do some damage. If you see that G-Max Lapras or any other Pokemon you know is going to get Dynamax turn 1, you can yawn it on turn 1 with Yoga Kiss. Then they have to make a decision. They can either switch out so their Lapras doesn't fall asleep, or they lose 2 turns of their Dynamax because their Lapras falls asleep. Pretty much a win-win. And then you bring in Rotom and clean up. Incineroar, he's been on almost every team. Pretty broken. You can spam Snarl, which your opponent won't see coming, to lower their special attack, which is very good. Weakness Policy T-Tar is a classic. let your opponent trigger that weakness policy, Dynamax at turn 1 with Excadrill right next to him. You're going to get a lot of wins, and it's not going to be very difficult. And that wraps it up, guys. That would be the 5 rental teams with codes. Pokepaste in the description. Everything you need to find in the timestamps below. What do you think of the new format of the video? Do you want me to bring back my battles so you can see an example battle with each team to see how it's used? Are there other things I could tell you about each team that would be helpful without making the video too long? To be honest with you, I could probably make a 10 to 15 minute video on every single one of these teams, but I think a lot of people like to try different things, and not all 5 of these teams is going to work from everyone. I feel like it's easier to take 5 teams and then all the different types of battlers that see my videos and choose the one that works the best for them and don't have to watch 5 different 10 to 15 minute long videos. But I might be wrong. Please let me know in the comments. Drop a like, drop a subscribe so you're here next month for 5 new teams. Have a great one, everyone. Bye-bye.